Hello, hello, hello. This is Rosalia Lazara, your host for The Money Honey, a show that is bringing you women in property and finance. These women, by the way, are being brave and they are coming out to just simply share their story, their journey, their career highlights. And they're doing this so that you can have a look at the industry from the outside in, or maybe you're in the industry, but you haven't found your voice yet in the industry, and you want to get some inspiration on how these women have done it. Maybe you just want to learn more about the industry. So if you want to keep up to date with the speakers that we've got lined up for you, which are phenomenal speakers, please do subscribe and like the show, follow the show so that you can keep, you can get updates on what's coming next. So for today, I've got, well, this is the first time we've actually ever spoken live face to face on the show because I've just been following her in awe online. This is Sonya Matharu from The Mortgage Mum. She's on the show with The Money Honey because she is a money honey. She definitely is bringing it to the industry. So I cannot wait to bring her on the show. Let's do this. Here she is.
Hello. Thank you. That was such a lovely intro. I don't know if I'm going to be able to live up to it, but it was nice.
Don't you dull your sparkle. I have said the truth and I know you wouldn't have said it for yourself. So I need to say it for you because for me, Sonya, it felt like all of a sudden, and I hate it when people say this about me, but it was just like one day, it felt like the iceberg effect, like you were just amazing from day one. And I didn't get to see, maybe you're going to share with me that you did have some dark days and you did have some quiet days, but actually I just saw Sonia's on the scene, boom. And I was like, whoa, like, how does she do that? Is that how it happened? Tell us about you. How did it happen?
It's so interesting because I definitely think that's probably like the perception is just like one day no one really heard of me and then all of a sudden I was kind of like everywhere, but oh my gosh, yeah, it definitely didn't just happen like that overnight. I think that's like a lot of like people's like overnight successes. It never is an overnight success. There's always like years and years for like building up to this like one moment that kind of puts you in front of people really. So yeah, definitely wasn't that definitely wasn't the case for me. I definitely had my years before that.
Wow. So tell us, actually, I know what you do, but we haven't had an intro. What do you actually do? Who are you? What do you do?
Yes, so I am a senior broker with the Mortgage Mum. So yeah, senior mortgage broker, and I've been with the Mortgage Mum since 2020. So literally the start of the pandemic, we all went into lockdown, and that's when I started with the Mortgage Mum. It's quite date I won't really forget. There was a lot going on.
Tell me about it. Gosh, I certainly know my 2020 to be the year, the transformational year. Like it was insane. It was, I just come out of 2019 having, like, just to give you the context of like the complete opposites of 2019, I finished the year on a high where I'd just become a finalist for the Women's Recognition Awards. I went to that event and I was a rising star. How ironic, because that star fell fast and hard, man. Honestly, yeah, because I just got made redundant just a few months later.
Wow.
So I thought, how do you go from being a rising star in the industry and then suddenly your company drops you and like you're redundant? How does that happen? So yeah, trust me, I remember 2020 very well. But you said you've been in the industry for years. So were you a broker somewhere else before the Mortgage Mum?
Yes, yeah, I was. So I've been in the industry for about 7 years or so. And yeah, started as a PA to a mortgage broker and then on a temporary basis. And then I kind of wanted to make that permanent because I kind of fell in love with the industry. And then, yeah, went from being a PA to mortgage admin, and then studying for my CMAP exams and things like that whilst doing mortgage administrator role, and then qualified in 2018, and then, yeah, been a broker in my own right ever since. So,
wow. So I can see what you mean about not being an overnight success. You've actually worked your way up from not even being a broker to now representing brokers and being a voice for the brokers. And I hear you're a coach too.
Yeah, so a mentor to mortgage brokers, so new and aspiring mortgage brokers, which is a service that I'm fully starting to roll out now, because it was just within the mortgage mum team, but after a couple of years, I would say actually the latest year, people outside of the mortgage mum wanting to know if that's something that I offer. And yeah, I guess me getting out of my own way, I'm now actually offering that as a full service now as well.
And you need to be screaming about that very loudly, Sonya. I don't think you do it justice. I don't think you scream about it as much as you probably should, do you?
It's very new at the moment, so you probably will start to see me kind of pushing that forwards on the socials and things like that. So yeah, it's very, very new, very early days, but yeah, that is something that I do.
And that's exactly why I wanted to bring you on, because yes, your brand, I mean, we can't fault the Mortgage Mum brand, can we? You know, the way you it's not just women, you know, there are men in the business too, right? So
yes, yeah, our co-founder Jamie.
Exactly. Yeah, phenomenal. So, you know, you guys show up as a unified brand, and you're always on point and slick and so valuable and so great to follow. But you have your own voice, right, within this brand, and you have your own identity. So what are your top tips or advice for women looking at you or looking at this mega brand, and then they look at you? How do women find their own voice in the industry? How can we do that?
Oh, such a good question. I would say it really does start from within, which does sound like such a wishy-washy answer. But throughout the times where I felt a bit lost in this industry, what really helped to me was stripping it back and doing some personal development. And I don't believe in picking personal development up and down. I think it's something that consistently we do. And sometimes a lot of it is subconscious. We don't even realize it. But, you know, what has really helped me for those times where I felt really lost and not really knowing what direction I want to go in is stripping it back and getting to know myself again. And what is it that I want? What do I want my life to look like? What do I want my career to look like? And then once you've kind of got that vision and you've mapped it out ever so slightly, we're not expecting you to know all the answers because it's impossible to, but what feels right to you personally, and then starting to align your behavior and, you know, networking with people who are kind of on that same wavelength. And then what you'll start to see is opportunities are arising through conversations that you're having. And because you're doing things so authentically you, and I hate to use that word because it's so overused.
No, I love it. Yes.
You know, you can't really go wrong. And I know it does sound really like I said, it sounds a bit woo and not very, you know, it's not like a practical, but it is. And that's honestly what I do is, looking back and thinking, what do I want out of life? And then going forth and trying to implement things that are going to enable those things to kind of happen. And then you'll start to see that picture becoming very, very clear and things becoming tangible. It's really exciting. And if you've got someone championing you in your corner as well, is you know, invaluable really. I would say surrounding yourself with the right network is key as well to your success and the opportunities that will arise for you, because if you don't have that, it can be quite lonely.
I 100% back you up on that, because in this industry, you have a voice. You all have a voice. You all have your own story, and you all are individual. You said be authentically you. I say be unapologetically you. I've posted about this before, but be unapologetically you. Don't apologize for who you are and what you're doing. You've all got a place in this space. And you just need to find, like you said, the people that will support you and champion you and be your biggest cheerleader. Because actually we're our worst cheerleader, aren't we? We don't
Oh my
actually
gosh.
cheer ourselves on.
I know, like the way sometimes that you can talk about yourself, like you wouldn't ever speak about a friend or family member or something. We can be our own worst, our own worst critics, really.
1000%, which is why I try to research my speakers and really only invite those that I've genuinely bought into, that I genuinely know, so that I can really speak from the heart and the truth. And you know, your intro is exactly what I meant, because I have been following you for a while, probably 2 years actually now, because I started in 2020, you started at the Mortgage Mum in 2020, and that's when I saw you. I remember you know, launching your pictures of being part of the Mortgage Mum. But you touched on this and I wanted to raise it anyway, but about your social media and your journey of creating your own brand. How are you using that as a tool in your business?
Oh gosh, yeah, I'd say it's my main it's my main source of leads is social media.
Nice.
I don't really do anything other than that. Other than social media for like new inquiries, and then obviously like word of mouth and things like that. But yeah, I've been utilizing it since I started. And actually, funnily enough, it's probably one of the reasons why I got qualified in a roundabout way.
Okay.
This is going to be a really long-winded answer, but I think it's worth it. When I started in the industry as a PA to a mortgage broker, what sparked my interest is the clients that were coming in and they were saying, had I known this, I wouldn't have done that. And they were having to have these hard conversations with the broker because of something that happened or a decision that was made was kind of preventing them from getting a mortgage and buying a house and things like that. And they were saying, I didn't know that that would affect this. And I was sat there just not saying anything, but taking it all in and kind of piecing it together. And I was thinking, this is crazy. Like, we are expected to know so much about stuff that can affect our lives, yet no one's telling us about it, or if they are, like, it's not registering because it's not in an engaging way. It's almost like you're being told off at school, and it's like no one, it just doesn't sit well, does it? So no one's making this stuff fun or engaging because this is all stuff we all really need to know, because it affects affects us purchasing a house and moving forwards with our lives and things like that. So when I made a decision, I was like, I want to tell people about this stuff. Like, everything that I'm learning in this office, it's fascinating. And there's so many people that could benefit from hearing this. And it was when, social media, like Instagram was becoming like the Instagram kind of like that we know now. Like, it was quite a while ago. We were talking about, 2015, 2016. And I was like, I'm going to get on social media. I'm going to get on Facebook. I'm going to get on Instagram, and I'm going to tell people about what I'm learning. But where this was also new to me and I had little confidence being in this kind of industry, I was like, I'm going to get my qualification to kind of help me with my confidence and back me up. And that's kind of where it started, really, was that I really wanted to use social media as a tool to help people learn about this stuff. And I thought, if I can just help someone, at least a handful of people, then that's great.
That is, Sonya, that is exactly what Manuka Media is all about. Like, we want to create financial educators and influencers, right? And I'm not saying you've done this with me, like, you have done this on your own, which is why I've invited you, because you're aligned to our purpose and our mission. And this show is not just about interviewing clients. We wanted to bring people that have never worked with us before to see how they're doing it. And you've just hit the nail on the head. You using social media as a tool to educate, right? People are coming to me saying, right, where are the leads on social media? And I'm like, that people aren't called leads.
Yes, that's exactly it. And that's why I was stuck for words at the beginning, because I hate you saying oh, it's a source of leads, because it's more, to me, it's more than that. So I was like, I couldn't think of a better word, really. But
well, it does happen though. It does. I mean, my business wouldn't exist without social media. Like
Exactly.
all my businesses, all my income, all my leads come from social media. But it's because there's the awareness, there's people that have been connected with me and they're like, what's she doing? And then when they do need you, they will come to you and they'll say, right, okay, I've seen you post about this for a really long time.
Mm.
I'm now ready to have my one-to-one or something like that. So yeah,
They
you're
almost like
absolutely right.
bookmark you. But I think, you know, what we've just said, there's, you know, something that I definitely operate like this is, you know, if your intention comes from a good place, like helping people, educating people, like the business side of thing tends to flow naturally. Like it's not something I've ever forced. Like I'm never like, I want to post on social media so I can get business or get 5 leads in a week or something like that. Like, no, my main purpose is to put helpful information, tips, and, you know, whatever, and connect with the audience that I have, you know, built over the years. And if I happen to get business from it, that's like a byproduct of it almost. So
Exactly.
I think that does come across. I think that's a really important thing, really, is to be mindful of that.
Absolutely. I think you're not pushy, you're not salesy, you're not shoving product down people's throats saying, you know, this is what we do, this is why I do. You know, you're sharing valuable and educational information and people will follow you for that. People will not feel targeted or approached by you. They'll gravitate towards you because you are natural at what you do. And that's really important. You know, it's really important to treat your business like for the long term. A lot of people just think about the short term, right? If I'm going to go on Instagram and I'm going to do 1 video a day, how many leads would that yield? I'm like, it just doesn't work like that. It's just not how you need to see it. But that's me preaching, and I'm really glad that obviously you're from a broker's perspective, you also see, you know, what I see, which is why it's working for you. It's ironic, isn't it? You're not looking for any leads, and yet you get loads of leads because that's how you treat people. You treat people with kindness and helpful, and you're helpful.
Thank you. Yeah, no, so social media, I think the opportunities that it can provide pretty much are endless, really. It's just how you choose to operate on it.
Absolutely. I mean, we've met, I've met, and many colleagues or not necessarily clients, but people who have then pushed me to become better, or suppliers. You know, you don't just meet your clients, you meet friends, you meet people that actually are going to push you to be better. And there's so many people that I've then met that I've later kind of ended up collaborating with or working with, or they've ended up being a different, it's just endless. Yeah, like you say, the opportunities are endless. But
and the connection you can get with people. I mean, you know, you and I, for example, I still remember the first time we actually met in real life was around this time last year at the MI Awards, and we built such a connection online that it was just before my award category was going to be out. So you came running over and you were like, I just had to come over and see you like before like that happened. And that was so lovely. And that was what that really does stand out for me is an example of like the connection that can be built online.
Yes.
And it doesn't even feel like it's the first time that we're
No,
met.
it's true. No,
I think of other people as well. It is amazing.
Yeah, I think sometimes I can get the perception might be, so let's say, for example, you start posting on social media and I reach out. I think some people look at that and be like, oh, she's trying to work with me, or like she's trying to sell to me, right? But I'm really not. Like, I don't sell myself to anybody. And it's people like you that understood that it was like, no, I just want to be your friend. Like, I don't, like, you don't need me. Like, I just knew from what you were doing, it doesn't, if I approach you, if I message you, if I contact you, if I run up to you in an event and hug you, it's not because I'm trying to get your business. It's literally because I think people aren't used to having cheerleaders and having like a cheerleader on the sideline actually rooting for you to win and rooting for you to be successful. And that's exactly what our connection was. You know, I saw what you were doing. Of course, I didn't think for us, you know, I knew you were doing all the right things, you know, so I just wanted to kind of share the glory with you. You know, you're going up for an award. You won that night as well. It was, I remember how emotional you were about it. I also know what it feels like to sit in that seat, right? And
Yeah.
that's why this show exists. It's about women championing women. So how, just for the last couple of minutes, how do you see that happening in the industry? Do you see that happening, what you and I just experienced? Do women champion other women?
Yes, I do. I think more so nowadays for sure. And I guess it's who you surround yourself with as well. Like I surround myself in the very like supportive, like collaboration over competition side of the industry. So yeah, I think it is, you know, you kind of, you know, your energy and what you put out into it, you know, you attract, you know, the same kind of energy. So I do think, you know, if you're not perhaps experienced that, like, don't let that stop you from having that approach. And yeah, hopefully, like, the same kind of like-minded people will find you as well. But yeah, I think in terms of, you know, women in the industry, there is obviously still a lot of work that still needs to be done for, like, you know, so that we do have, you know, I guess more equality and things like that. But I mean, it's so much better like nowadays than it has been for sure. So we're moving things in the right direction. And
Definitely.
I think it just, as long as people, or, you know, people, women in particular, you know, continue to push and strive for better, it's only gonna, you know, get better as a whole. Really, we're all going to benefit from it.
That's you've answered a question I haven't asked yet, which was, you know, what is your advice for women who are trying to break into this industry or trying to get a name for themselves? And you're still welcome to answer that question. But I think what I got from what you've just said is that you need to push and strive. I think a lot of people just maybe hang back and you know, they're quietly successful in the shadows, but you can't represent women by being quiet. You need to show up and speak up, right? Because otherwise, what are you representing? Are there any other pieces of advice that you would give to women in the industry who want to see more women in the industry? But how can it be done? What do you think we need to do as women? What's our responsibility to ensure that we actually keep the changes happening faster and better?
Yeah, so that can sound like quite like a it can be quite an overwhelming thing, you know, task. And, you know, how can I represent women in the industry, or what can I do for women in the industry? But it doesn't have to be like a great big like campaign or a huge like, yes, or something like, or like an event or something like that. It can be like simply a LinkedIn post or something like that. Like, do what you can in your capacity, or what you want to do really. And I just always think, like, be the person you wanted at the start of your career.
Yes.
So that I did a post about failing my exams the other day, and I did that not because I thought it was going to be a great LinkedIn post, but it was because I thought, well, what inspired that was myself. You know, back, 4 years ago when I was taking my exams, I was failing them. And all I kept seeing were people saying how quickly they passed and how easy these exams were. And, oh, it took me 6 months to do this. And what that did was, it was great for them, but it was making me feel like I couldn't do it. So I would have loved to have seen somebody in the industry, quite established, saying, actually, yeah, I failed my exams and I'm still here and I've made a really good career of myself. So that's what inspired that post. And I think if we can all do that, just share our experiences, share our successes, but also share, the tougher times as well, because, no doubt somebody's going through the exact same thing, contemplating whether they can even be a broker or not. And I think, there is so much value in our experiences. And if we share them, it can really help, the new generation coming up.
Oh, that's just absolutely beautiful. I love that. And I call that, I don't know if you've seen me posting about this strap line in Manuka Media, but we call that positive pollination. The way I see it, right? Because obviously the whole bee theme is a bit cheesy, but I know you like a bit of cheese.
No, I love
it. Basically, the way I see Sonya in the industry is that she's a bee and she's out there spreading positive pollen, right? So she's pollinating and she's helping other people flourish, because that's what bees do. They drop the pollen, the flowers grow, and it flourishes. That's exactly what this industry can help you do. Like if you feel lost in this industry, I know there are, I'm not saying everyone go to Sonya, but there are so many people like Sonya. I'm sure she will welcome one-to-ones or chats and things like that. But there are so many people around you that do care for your success or have been through what you've been through or have overcome a challenge that you're currently facing. So if you want to follow Sonya's story, Sonya, where can we find you? Where are you?
Oh, I'm here, there, and everywhere. I'm on LinkedIn, Sonya Matharu, and I'm on Instagram, Sonya Matharu _ at the end as well for that one. And yeah, you can. Most of my stuff's actually on my website, which is sonyamatharu.com, and you'll have all the places all that you will be able to see everywhere that I am on there, and emails and stuff like that.
I'll put it in the show notes anyway, so that people can click directly to your channels. And obviously, if you liked this show, please like and share it with someone that you feel needs to hear it in the industry. Maybe it's a colleague of yours. Maybe it's someone you've just recently hired. Maybe it's you yourself. You know, you want to save this and bank this later to watch it and inspire you to take action in this industry or to reach out for help. You know, that the people are there, always willing to help. So, Sonya, any last words, any final strap lines, quotes, anything that you want to leave the audience with today?
Oh, I don't know, but I think just, what you said there about, reaching out. I think don't be afraid to reach out to anybody that you want some help, guidance, or advice. Sometimes I think people may think, oh, if I ask that, I'm going to look silly or they're going to judge me or anything like that. Like, don't think like that. Just send the question. If there is somebody that you want to chat to, reach out to and just ask, advice, tips and tricks or whatever, do it. The only silly question is the one that isn't asked. So go for it.
Love that, Sonya. Thank you so, so much for being with the Money Honey show and for, doing your part in the industry and for our society. I really, really value that.
Well, thank you so much for having me. I'm so excited for this podcast.
Right now, guys, as we're recording, it's a secret. No one knows about this. I haven't told anyone other than people on the show. So by the time this is out, you'll see the incredible lineup of speakers that I've put together for you. And if you want to be a speaker or if you want to nominate somebody that you think needs to be heard and you want to volunteer someone, obviously with their permission, and say, hey, I think you need to be on this show. You need to share what you're doing. We want to hear the good news that's happening, because if Sonya doesn't speak up, it's just me, like literally me on the show. So we need more people like Sonya to speak up and to represent. So if you want to come on the show or you want to nominate someone, please reach out. Thank you for being here.